All right. Welcome to the Food Founders Podcast. Today, I am here with Eli and Grace from Absurd Snacks, which is a line of nut-free, allergy-friendly trail mix, which I know if you're listening, you're probably like, what do you mean? How can you make that allergen-free, nut-free trail mix? These two don't go together. But Eli and Grace have found a way to make this possible and make it appealing for everyone who's looking for a snack on the go. So, welcome to the Food Founders Podcast.
Thanks for having us. So happy to be here today.
We're so excited to dive into the how can we, of course, make trail mixes nut-free and allergen-friendly. So we're so excited to share more about that today.
And why don't we just open it up there? Talk to us about what exactly is in this that has made that possible for you guys to have a trail mix that is nut-free, allergy-friendly, and how'd you land on it?
Yeah, so our trail mixes are top 9 food allergy free. The FDA regulates 9 foods as they're the most common food allergens in the US. And so when we think about labeling and disclosing ingredients, those top 9 foods have to be disclosed on packaging if they're present or produced in the same facility as your product. So we went ahead and decided to create a trail mix that was top 9 food allergy free, and the main components our mix pretty much replicate a traditional trail mix as far as taste and texture. But instead of your traditional peanut and tree nut filled trail mixes, we use crunchy roasted chickpeas and fava beans. And we also have a fun, unique component in there as well. That's a granola cluster, which is primarily seed based with sunflower and pumpkin and hemp and flax seeds. And we have gluten free roll oats in there as well. And then we have our dried fruit component, either depending on the flavor, raisins or cranberries. And they're both naturally sweetened with pure maple syrup or apple juice, playing to that tune of low sugar snacks, high quality ingredients, taste, texture of a traditional trail mix, but making it more inclusive for people who have food allergies. And how we got started, we went to the University of Richmond. We're based in Richmond, Virginia now, but came down here for school from the Northeast where our families are from. And we took a entrepreneurship course, business management entrepreneurship course our senior year, just in the right place at the right time. It was a pilot program that allowed us to ideate, create, and actually launch a packaged food product within the means of the school year. And Absurd Snacks was chosen as the product that the entire class would work on together. The school year was broken up into a fall semester, ideation phase, pitch phase, and then whatever product was chosen would then move forward as the product that the whole class would work on together. And the inspiration for Absurd Snacks came from our close friend and classmate, Dan, who has severe food allergies and had once went into anaphylaxis as a result of eating a granola bar that was claiming to be nut-free, but it actually fell victim to cross-contamination either in the supply chain or in the manufacturing facility. And so just digging into his pain point of having a severe life-threatening reaction to what he thought was a safe snack, we wanted to create something that was dedicated or produced in a dedicated facility while still playing to the tune of high protein, low sugar, all these consumer preferences that are still so common even today after we first launched the brand 2 years ago. Yeah, it was I think the greatest startup stories come from personal pain points. And so just solving a need that is still growing even more so now than it was 2 years ago. We're really excited and confident that Absurd Snacks could be a good player in the space.
Okay, I've got so many questions coming out of this. Okay, first, the whole class is working on this, which is really cool. Makes sense that you guys all saw the opportunity for this. How did it end up with just the two of you guys running the show right now?
So during the school year, we were operating as if we were a company. We were a company in essence. And so Grace and I had leadership positions. Grace was CEO, I was COO, and we were working really closely together on a day-to-day basis. And we really fell in love with what we were working on. It became a passion project. And when we started selling, doing farmers markets, doing sampling opportunities and events at local retailers and other stores, we heard all these stories from consumers about how big of a struggle this was in their household. And it really fueled the fire. And that was momentum that really fueled us to continue doing it after graduation. So when we brought up the opportunity or the idea of continuing on with it post-graduation with the class, a couple people were interested, but at the end of the day, all the other students decided to either go a different direction with a full-time job. Some were still in undergrad, so couldn't commit to going full-time with the business. And it dwindled from 16 down to just us two. But it's become a partnership of small but mighty team of two, and our strengths really complement each other, which allows us to, run the business here in Richmond. And we feel very lucky to have kind of a network of advisors and mentors that are in our corner supporting us every step of the way. Yeah, it's been a fun and very exciting journey.
What gave you guys the confidence, the just like oomph to go ahead with this versus going and get a corporate job like some of your colleagues maybe did, or going a different path? What was it that allowed you guys to see, hey, there's really something here? And not even that there's something here, but also, hey, we want to take on entrepreneurship like in this full scale effect here. And how that ended up to be, are you guys just like born entrepreneurs? Have you run businesses before? Were you like, no, we see the gold at the end of this? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that's such a great question. I feel like we've been on a couple other podcasts and no one's really asked us that before. And I don't think we even thought about what the decision-making criteria was really for just jumping into it. I'll at least speak for myself. I had a job in New York City an internship my junior summer into senior year that I eventually got a full-time offer for. And it was in the CPG space. I was on a search engine management digital marketing team. And it was a great option. I loved my team. I loved the space, but it didn't make me super excited. And the thought of living in New York in a small, tiny box apartment wasn't gleaming to me. Naturally, I was like, oh, this is a better option. So let's just consider this and put more weight on it. And again, as Eli had mentioned, it really quickly turned into a passion project. It was something we were working on basically all hours of the day outside of our classes and other commitments for school. And I feel like we also had we had a lot of conviction that this was a smart move from just the feedback we had gotten from consumers at farmers markets and, again, the personal stories that we were hearing. So that was enough for us to take a leap and at least try it. We also were able to take part in an incubator program right after we graduated to really test our assumptions on whether or not Absurd would be a good long-term solution and viable idea. And through that process, I think really sealed the deal for us. Okay, this is worth it. And it gave us conviction to build a really strong pitch and business plan and go-to-market strategy, eventually raising money and really kickstarting the business that way.
And as you were going through this whole piece, you had a wonderful opportunity, actually. When I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this is great. Anyone who is thinking about starting a business, go join an entrepreneurship program because you're learning all the ins and outs of everything, which is great. You guys had to learn all the different pieces for it, right? You had to learn the production piece, which we're going to get into because I'm sure there was a whole bunch of different challenges there. And I'm curious how you guys tackled them. But you had to learn production. You had to learn the marketing, the packaging, the finance, all the different pieces. For both of you, what was the part of the business that was more challenging than you thought it originally would be? We go into business sometimes and we think, I'm going to figure this out. This part's not going to be a problem. And we get these weird curveballs. But what was it as you guys were learning all these different divisions of running a packaged food company? You wear so many hats in it. That kind of took you by surprise in terms of what that would really look like in the learning curve there.
Yeah. It was so interesting because starting as a class of 16, most small startups are not starting with 16 members. So trying to figure out, even just from a people standpoint, how we can manage 16 people, how we can delegate work and make it meaningful and impactful for every one of those students was something that was a bit of a learning curve from day one. But we wanted to leverage that amount of manpower in our favor. And so having all those hands on deck was super helpful. I guess one specific challenge that was early on and has still proven to be an obstacle for us on the manufacturing side is the fact that a lot of the pain point for allergy-free eating comes from that manufacturing and supply chain side, where it's not just finding products that don't have peanuts, that don't have wheat, that don't have soy. It's finding ones that are produced in a facility that's dedicated from farm to pantry, having all of your ingredients and all of your equipment being dedicated for allergen-free ingredients. And so that was a step that has definitely taken a little bit more legwork. We just make sure that we have all the documentation in place, and we know that we can guarantee our consumers who have life-threatening food allergies that our snacks will be safe for them. And so at the beginning, we were set up with a local manufacturing partner, and because of the nature of the facility and how small scale it was and how local we were starting, it was so expensive that we actually had to leverage those 16 sets of hands and go in and help with the production. So we had our manufacturer producing in bulk for us, and then we were going in and hand packing bags. And that's something that we've become very familiar with, just because we need to do whatever it takes to make it viable until we can really start to scale up that production. That's something where, like, being scrappy and just figuring out a solution where it'll check all of our boxes from a quality standpoint, and it'll allow us to bring a product to the market that we're really proud to market is key to the success of our business. And if it means putting in a little extra legwork, we'll do it any day.
Yeah, I think building off of that from an outside perspective, I know I've fell guilty to this. When you look at brands and startups and their growth, you immediately think there's like a step function for success. When we hit this order size, we'll be on this path. And then when we hit this success metric, we'll just continue growing. And it's true, like those are, as when you think about building a business, you want to create those goals and milestones for yourself and for the business. But naturally, when you go up a step, sometimes you go down too, and you just have to keep rebuilding. And I think that was one of the hardest pills to swallow, was going from an MVP phase to, doing a ton of customer discovery and research. It put us on a different path than what we had assumed we were going to be on, just given the nature of where customers shop and where they play, essentially. Is it in stores? Is it online? Is it whatever it was? I think just being able to understand that not everything is going to grow as a linear curve. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And as long as we can fail fast and learn quickly, then I think we're on a good path. But it takes a long time. And I think as young founders, like we want to be quick and nimble and do everything as fast as we can, as efficient as we can. But there's some things that take some more time than others. And the growth is the best part, but it's a lot of patience and a lot of discipline.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want that like continuous growth, but the patience, I'm sure, is a big piece that you guys have had to learn throughout this, and especially in the food industry, right? It takes time between when you're placing orders to when you're showing up in stores. And talk to me about that. Are you guys in stores? Are you focused on DTC? I know you spoke with a lot of customers to figure out what's best for them. What is your business model in terms of distribution right now?
Yeah, so we started selling back in 2022 in March is when we launched our new product line. Primarily independent grocery stores, your mom and pop corner stores, and we did some farmers markets and pop-ups just to immediately get the product out in the market, get some feedback on it. At the time, we had a lead with a bigger natural grocery store, Whole Foods, in our region. And as we had launched the new product line, continued to build that relationship with our buyer and kept her up to date on progress and growth, and just really trying to maintain the relationship and making it stronger in the hopes that we would one day be able to sell at Whole Foods. And through that persistence and being creative and trying to get our brand in front of the eyes of the right people within corporate and decision makers, we were able to actually win some shelf space recently. We started working with Whole Foods in September of 2023, and we are selling at about 22 locations right now and growing. And we're really driving trial and velocity through in-store demos. So again, talking to customers 16 hours a weekend, which is really fun. In addition to that, we are supplementing a lot of our sales with independent grocery stores, cafes, coffee shops, a lot of grassroots selling. So walking in there with our merch, hats on, samples in hand, asking for buyer meetings and closing sales that way. We also are available on Amazon Prime, which is fun, and we do sell on our website as well, direct to consumer. But our go-to-market strategy is pretty focused on growing in retail, specifically the natural channel. So your Mom's Organics, your Sprouts, and then continuing to really grow and scale up with Whole Foods, because they've been a really awesome partner for us and have supported us tremendously, even as a small brand. We want to continue leveraging and building that relationship.
Absolutely. And that's huge. Congratulations on the recent listing there. And great to hear that it's like continuously growing. And it sounds like you're going in all sorts of different places where people can get the product, from Whole Foods to food service and these grassroots movements. I'm sure that community is a really big piece of the business, just given, I mean, I'm not free allergy friendly, thankfully, knock on wood. There's no one in my family who is, but I would imagine you get these people who just are like, oh my gosh, thank you for creating this. Because as someone who doesn't fall into that, the snacks are amazing. I'd crunch on these all day versus traditional trail mix. Like, they're delicious and very filling, fantastic flavors. And I would imagine just with this group of people who feel left out sometimes, it's really hard to actually find a product that actually suits them. You guys are like the holy grail with them. Talk to me about what building community really looks like, because I feel like that's probably a big piece of your success. And you do sound like you're really tapped in and continue to listen to your audience. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think community building is twofold for us. It's definitely online, touching base with people that are in the allergy-free community. People with allergies or people who have loved ones with allergies will shout from the rooftops loud and proud if there's a product or brand that they trust and they know they can rely on. One thing that we learned early on was that the allergy-free consumers are very loyal to a few brands that they continue to go back to time and time again. So in an effort to establish those relationships directly and build that credibility, we are always going on social media, trying to cater to those audiences. We're going into Reddit forums, Facebook groups, appearing at events and conferences that are relevant to those audiences. And then starting locally here in Richmond, I guess as the second tier of our community building, Richmond as a city is so proud of local builders, local makers, and we've been able to really get a tight-knit group of early stage kind of evangelists, people that will spread the word about our brand and continue to repeat purchase and share about it on their social media. And so we always try and appear at events, and when we have any opportunity to do samplings or brand collaborations, we really want to get the name out there. And so showing up both in person and online, and then having those touch points come together to build strong relationships with our community really helps to just show the people behind the brand, because at the end of the day, we want people to feel comfortable and we want to make them feel good about what they're eating and who they're supporting.
And for you guys, what's next? So you mentioned that you've been growing in your Whole Foods, growing in mom and pop. You're really connected into this community, very loyal community. What's on the horizon for you guys in the next, let's say, 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, we're excited. We're really trying to push sales this year. We've been testing and learning with our immediate stores that we've been servicing the past almost year now. But we feel that we have enough data and enough conviction to like really push the gas pedal harder this year. We submitted for some new grocery store placement earlier this year, so crossing our fingers and hoping we win some placement this year. But think we've got a really good rinse and repeat process for opening up new stores and opening up new distribution as far as demoing and sampling and trial, that we feel we can replicate that process with adding team members and bringing in sampling personnel and all the things that we are currently doing just at a larger scale up and down the East Coast. So yeah, as far as 2024, we're really focusing on driving more sales. We do have some interns joining us this summer, which is always a fun little situation where we have some extra hands to do even more in-person activation. We put farmers markets and things like that on the back burner last year since we were just starting up with Whole Foods. We really wanted to focus on that. So we're excited to kickstart that again, more community activation this year. Yeah, what else? I feel like we're definitely gonna add on a SKU in the next year or so. Working on some high-level flavors. So if you have any ideas there, we'd love to hear them. But continuous innovation is a requirement in our category. Everyone wants to see something new, taste something new. We want to stay ahead of the curve. So that's something we're working on in the background for sometime this year or next.
Yeah. Even though trail mix was our start as a snack that's so frequently found with peanuts, tree nuts, gluten, and a ton of junky preservatives, we really want to expand into other categories as well in the future that allergy-free eating is just underrepresented. Our mission is making snacking together easier, and so we hope to be able to continue to do that with our trail mixes and beyond.
I'm excited to continue to watch you guys grow again for that community of people that are like, oh my gosh, thank goodness this exists. And also just for people just looking for a better solution out there. I've like devoured my absurd snacks, so delicious. And I love the fact with the beans and everything in here, it just makes you feel full in a great way that like trail mix doesn't. You can like feel good about having it regardless of where you are. So I love that you guys are trying to bring people together with snacking with some great flavors. And I think just being such a great product to show that you can have allergen friendly while still tasting amazing and having some innovation. You guys probably had to go through a lot of innovation hoops that you don't even realize that you had to go through to create this, right? Like you guys just went in and you're like, hey, we're going to solve this. But it's a hard problem that you solved.
It's
a
a
hard problem.
constant work in progress. We being so close to it, we always want to make sure that we're staying on top of the feedback because there's always room to improve. And so whether that's a tweak in the recipe or a tweak in the process to make it or a way that we deliver our messaging and communicate the value of the product, we always want to just keep improving so that it makes it just a little bit easier for those who are looking for it to be able to find it.
I'm excited for lots more people to go and discover this in Whole Foods, in a whole bunch of mom and pop stores. Like you said, we're getting new listings. If people want to go to your website right now and go check you out, where can they find you?
You can find us at absurdsnacks.com. You can find our products on Amazon as well, so they could be delivered to your door in a day or two. If we're not already in your favorite grocery store, definitely let us know. We have a little form on our website where you can request a store or feel free to reach out directly. You can always find us on Instagram or TikTok at absurd.snacks. And we always just love to connect and talk, so feel free to reach out anytime.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing your story and for bringing this out to the market. Excited for more people to get their hands on Absurd Snacks.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. So fun talking.
Thanks.